Hello, BookTube, and welcome to the waning days of Dune in June, a new BookTube event where we read Frank Herbert's science fiction masterpiece Dune in the month of June. If you're doing Dune in June as a proper BookTube event, you're long since finished with this book. And I had planned to be too, but in the process of making videos about Dune in June, I backed into a read along of Dune, a chapter by chapter read along of this book. I'm perfectly happy to do that. No better way to spend a summer, and a lot of you seem to be happy with that too. So we're just going to continue with this story, which is at a pretty high pitch of tension. House Atreides has been ordered to Dune to take over the planet from House Harkonnen. They've been ordered to do this by the Emperor. Not fully knowing the details, but guessing that the Emperor and House Harkonnen are combining to destroy them. That Dune is a trap. Duke Leto Atreides has brought his lady, but not his wife, the Lady Jessica, trained by the Bene Gesserit. He's brought his son and heir, Paul. He's brought all of his war masters and various advisors, his champion swordsman, Duncan Idaho, his Mentat assassin, Thufir Hawat, his war master, the balladeer, Gurney Halleck. He's brought all these people to Dune in order to make a stand, in order to brave it out and maybe win, find a way through the trap to the other end. We know already as readers that he will fail. It's not just that he has a traitor in his household, and it's not just that we know who that traitor is. We do. It's Dr. Yua. It's the family doctor. We're told that right at the beginning. We're told that in the first 10 pages of the book. It's not just that we know who the traitor is. We also know the traitor will succeed. Every chapter of this novel has an epigraph drawn from a work in which all of these events are history, perhaps very old history, and in which Yua's success as a traitor is taken as a matter of fact. So we already know not only who the traitor is, but that he will succeed. It's a testament to Frank Herbert's writing ability that we're still on the edge. It's still tense, even though we know how the story's going to go. But it hasn't happened yet. We've just had a very tense, very multi-layered dinner scene. And now it's later, probably that evening. It's later that evening when Lady Jessica hears a disturbance in the front of the house. She goes out and a couple of guards have Duncan Idaho between them, and he's drunk. And oddly morose. And it's a pattern that her own agents have shown her in other Atreides armed men. Other of the Atreides men have also been getting drunk on spice beer and bemoaning their fate. They won't ever speak any disloyalty to the Duke himself, but they don't like this whole Dune deal. They don't like it at all. There's no real alternative. The Duke did not choose to go rogue. He did not choose to go renegade. So unless they were going to leave his service, they had no choice but to come to Dune themselves, but they don't like it. And they've been getting drunk and disorderly as a result of it. And Jessica has had reports of this, but this is Duncan Idaho. This is not just anybody. And he keeps slurredly mouthing off to the guards. He doesn't want to be helped, doesn't want to, Dr. Yua is summoned. He doesn't want coffee, doesn't want any stimulants, doesn't want to be, coddled or treated at all, just wants to do things his own way. Until finally, Jessica tries to discipline him. And he draws himself up with that stiff, fake dignity that drunk people can sometimes try to summon, and says that he doesn't take orders from any damn Harkonnen spy. Stuns Dr. Yua. Stuns everybody who's hearing it. Stuns Jessica. She has noticed in the last few days a stiffness, a distance on her husband's part, on the Duke's part. We have seen, the Duke has explained to Paul, his son, that he has to make her think that he suspects her of treachery, not because he does. He wants Paul to know, I love her more than anything. I cannot distrust her. It's all a ruse to draw out the people who are trying to divide us. Paul argues with his father that surely she should be in on the ruse, but for some reason the Duke thinks not. And Jessica has wondered, therefore, where all that stiffness and coldness is coming from. And now she knows that there's a suspicion that she is a Harkonnen spy. And she's stunned when Duncan Idaho says that and draws one conclusion immediately. Thufir Hawat. There's no chance that this rumor came from anyone else. As she says, anyone lower placed, it would have been dismissed, and that person would have been dismissed. So it has to be him. It can't be anyone higher placed because none of them would think it. It has to be him. And she orders the guards who are with Duncan Idaho to go and find Hawat and bring him to her. Don't bother with the Duke. Don't give me sass. Don't deny it. Find him and bring him to me immediately. And that's the scene that we get. That's the main scene that we get in this scene, in this chapter, is Thufir Hawat does indeed show up. He has an ominous dark red spot on his sleeve. He's probably been in the city killing people. He shows up, and they have a very tense meeting. He does not like her. He does not trust her. He doesn't trust her as a person, and he also doesn't trust the Bene Gesserit just in general. And she is mastering a towering rage at him for promulgating or at least supporting this rumor when nothing could be further from the truth. They have a very unproductive conversation. They're vying back and forth. Neither one wants to give an inch. Neither one really wants to listen. But while that's happening, she is wondering whether or not she should shock him. And we learn in this chapter what the shock is. It's not called it in this chapter, but it's the voice. It's a particular ability that the Bene Gesserit have. The voice with a capital V. If you saw the wretched first Dune movie, you know that it's a little box device. It's not a little box device. It's entirely organic. It's never really been done well on film, which is odd because there are a half dozen great ways to do it with technology that existed 50 years ago. But it's never really been done well. In the Denis Villeneuve movie, it tends to be just reduced to shouting. It's not shouting. What it is the Bene Gesserit practitioner, or it doesn't have to be Bene Gesserit, Paul also has this ability, trained to have this ability. They gain a register of the person. Their vocal register, the way their thoughts move. They're basically sinking in invisible barbs in the person's psyche, so that when they use the voice, the person will do what they say. Temporarily, anyway. They will do what they say, consciously against their own interests. They'll know what they're doing, but they won't be able to help themselves. And when the crucial point comes in their conversation, Jessica uses the voice on Hawat, and he collapses into a chair, and he says nothing, no power of his will or action at all, nothing in the world could have stopped him from obeying. He's stunned by this. He asks her, why aren't you out destroying the Duke's enemies if you have this power? He's also stunned, I would imagine, with the broader implications that the Bene Gesserit all have this power, and that they might be far more dangerous than he thought. Again, I don't want to make my chapter by chapter walkthrough of the first part of Dune just serially bashing on Thufir Hawat. But in this chapter, Jessica, for instance, tells him that they're going through suspects, and she at one point says, well, what about Dr. Yua? Should we have him in here and put him to the test? And you as a reader are thinking, yes, he's in the next room, go and do it. He's planning to betray you. If you do that, you can stop the whole thing, or at least forestall it. But Thufir Hawat says, no, he's got the Imperial conditioning, so he can't be turned. That much I know. That much I researched. And Jessica says to him, yes, plus his wife was killed by the Harkonnen. Now, keep in mind, we don't know that's true, and neither does Dr. Yua. Jessica is assuming that as just a jump of logic on her part from the one and only conversation she had with the guy where she suspected it. And Hawat says, well, so is that what happened to her? And she says, well, can't you tell with the tone of absolute hatred that he has in his voice whenever he mentions the Harkonnens? And Thufir Hawat says, I don't have the ear. No, you don't have the ear. You have the intelligence core. How did you not know? How did you not know that the doctor who's going to be handling your Imperial charges, actually giving them medicine, is in an unbelievably compromisable position and has a wife who is part of the operation that you deeply distrust? How does he not know that? How does he not know at least that she was Bene Gesserit, when it's part of her official biography only a few years later in one of the books that Princess Irulan writes? How did Hawat not know this? And also, while we're on the subject, how does he not know that the Bene Gesserit have this ability? Do you mean to tell me that in 15 years of living with Lady Jessica. He's never had occasion to observe that she has this ability. Not once in all that time. The other big revelation in this chapter, which is only a private revelation to the reader, no one else hears about it, is that Jessica is pregnant. She's pregnant with a baby girl. She chooses not to tell Hawat, and she has chosen not to tell the Duke. She figures, probably rightly, that he has so much on his mind, fighting for the survival of his very family, that would badly distract him. Maybe fatally distract him. So she doesn't tell him that she has the daughter that the Bene Gesserit wanted her to give to the Duke originally. And she and Hawat end their interview. It's very inconclusive. It's very unsatisfactory. But as he's leaving, she thinks to herself, well, at least now maybe we'll see some proper action. And if you've read the book, the irony of that being the final line of this chapter is just shrieking. It's just unbearable. Because the end is about to come. But that's our chapter for today. A tense conversation between the Lady Jessica and Thufir Hawat. Sowing seeds, actually bringing to light the seeds of their antagonism that will run throughout the book. For the remainder of the book. And be concluded at the very end. Again, Thufir Hawat, I'm forgiving a lot because he has a great final scene in the book. Where he says to Lady Jessica, you need not forgive. That is wonderful. It's full of the stiff dignity that you would expect from someone who's been serving the Atreides for as long as Thufir Hawat has. So that's our chapter for today. It's a dark, unsettling chapter. Duncan Idaho is supposed to be incorruptible, and here he's useless to everybody. The divisions in House Atreides are now a matter of public record. Duncan Idaho has called the Lady Jessica a Harkonnen spy in front of half the household. And she's had a confrontation with Thufir Hawat that he came too armed. She might end the chapter by saying, maybe now we'll see some action, but as readers, we have never had less confidence in the ability of these people to survive any kind of trap. And that's going to be justified. So we'll continue on. We'll move to the next chapter next time, and I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.